after secrets unfold. True crime stories, let the intrigue be told. Grab a seat, get cozy, let's dive into the plot. With Mac J by my side, there's so much to be sought. Mods from the stars, they light up the night. Chillin' with Van, everything feels just right. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Sun. Oh. Spirit Time vibes with Lisa and Mark. Tia and Mel igniting the spark. According to Lean, curiosity flows. A curious rose in a garden of woes. Sweet misery whispers, tales that enthrall. While Matt, Meg, and Jody, we gather them all. Welcome to the mystery, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Sun. So come along, join the fun tonight. In Aussie true crime, everything feels so right.
Hey, beautiful people.
Hello, everyone.
See, we got beautiful Kaz in, and she joined our membership.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, my darling. Gonna play this for you.
Oh, yes, I love this one.
Thank you so much for joining. So, we've got a small one today while we cover Saturday, Sunday. We're doing Thursday, Friday last week. But I do have to apologise for yesterday. It was me that made us stop. And as I was just telling Mac J, I was doing a TikTok with my grandson. And I came off second best. I'm going to show you. I collected a wall. You can see it. Can't see the swelling, but yeah. And my knee went. So that's why we weren't here yesterday. I had to lick my wounds. Call it.
Yes.
But we'll jump straight in. I do want to show, before we start the thing, I've been talking. Hang on, what have I done? No. I'm pressing buttons again.
Uh-oh.
I want to show this. So I know that we've spoke about Simon and we've spoke about the attempts on his life before. Now, this is from Simon that he posted to Facebook, and it's about him talking about one of the other times that Erin had tried to poison him and he had gone to hospital. So this is one of the other attempts. These were all dropped just before the court case. But I think it's important to the story for us to see what was going on before the lunch. So this one was from Simon Patterson, obviously, and it says, some of you will know that I had some serious medical problems since late May. I collapsed at home and then was in an induced coma for 16 days, though which I had 3 emergency operations, mainly on my small intestines, plus an additional planned operation. My family were asked to come and say goodbye to me twice, as I was not expected to live. I was in intensive care for 21 days, after which I was in the general ward for a week, and now I'm at a rehab place since last Saturday. I'm pleased to say that all medical work has seemed to be fixed, and the serious gut problems I had and I've been feeling great was for many days. I feel no pain. Now, this was just a screenshot that was put into a room that I picked up. But as I said, I just thought it was important because we get a picture painted in the court of what happened at the lunch, but this is something that happened before on one of the attempts on his life before. And you mean, as you see, 3 emergency operations. That's scary.
It is. No wonder he didn't want to go.
Yeah. This could have been the reason he didn't want to go to that lunch. But I just thought it was something that, you know, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. I know the courts don't want to see it, but it is important because it does play part of the part. Eddie, how are you? Welcome in. Oh, sorry, I just took that off. Mushroom free. I know, so's mine. And would you believe my daughter asked me today for mushrooms for dinner? It's like, no. Straight out, no. Beautiful Jody, welcome in. How are you, my darling? So, yeah. Anyway, let's get on with today. So, I know it was another big day yesterday at court too. We had 2 more experts up yesterday.
Oh, wow. Was it mushroom experts?
Yep. More of them.
Jury must be sick of hearing about them.
Honestly, I just want to get to the police, like the ones that actually investigated it. So, anyway, Thursday the 15th of May, our first witness was Katrina Cripps. Miss Cripps is child protection practitioner with the government. Okay, Jody.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for coming in. Okay, child protection worker meets Patterson. No. Baby, can you just get me a juice? Meets Patterson children at the hospital. So Miss Cripps says the first meet both the Patterson children at the Monash Children's Hospital on August 1st, following the lunch. She tells the court that she also spoke with Erin Patterson for the first time that afternoon. Miss Cripps says Erin detailed her relationship with her estranged husband Simon and their custody arrangements. She says Erin informed her that the children did not want to go to their father's home on the weekends. Earlier in the trial, Simon Patterson told the court he and his wife separated in 2015 and remained on good terms for a number of years. But Mr. Patterson said the pair's relationship had become strained. But Mr. Patterson said the pair's relationship had become strained and there was tension in it. He said in late 2022, Miss Patterson was upset that he had listed himself as separated on his tax return. Thank you. On his tax return for the first time and the impact that that may have on their tax arrangements. And I do got to say, the kids are teenagers. I'm not saying that played a part on the kids not wanting to go to their dads, but I know my kids, when they were teenagers, they're more interested in their phone, their games, their friends. That
Yep.
going to parents on the weekend just doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it's just teenagers go through that. Not saying that's why, but that's just my opinion. Erin described a strayed husband as controlling and emotionally abusive. Miss Cribbs says that Erin said and debated around the child support payments, which had been raised earlier in the trial, created tension in her relationship with Simon. She felt like that's the time he had become nasty towards her, Miss Cribbs said. Miss Cribbs tells the court that Erin called Don and Gail as the parents she hadn't had and had loved them very much. She went on to tell Miss Cribbs that she felt like Simon had been isolating her from his family in recent times. Miss Cribbs says Erin told her Simon was controlling and emotionally abusive. That's not what we've seen. Prosecutors. Sorry.
I was just gonna say controlling. I don't see that at all, but I
No.
can understand why she's upset at him about um, child support, man. Because, like, seriously, come on, $20.
Well, this is funny. This is what me and I had a conversation with Kez yesterday afternoon about this. And as we were saying, with like we know she came into the money from the, do you know what I mean, the 2 million that she got, and we know that she was giving out all of the full, like the 400,000 here and there for people to buy houses. Yet she's complaining about child support. I don't think she was short of money. Like I know I don't have
Yeah,
400. I wish I did to give my friends to buy houses, but do you mean I think it was just an excuse, not a fact
yeah,
that she.
that's true.
But yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Prosecutor Sarah Lathan asked Miss Cribbs what Erin Patterson told her about July 29th lunch at her Leningatha home. She told us that she had prepared the beef Wellington, mashed potatoes and green beans and a packet gravy, Miss Cribbs said. She said that she'd found it in a recipe tin, Eats cookbook, and she wanted to do something new and special. Miss Cribbs said Erin had told her that she had brought the mushrooms from Woolworths and an Asian grocer, and told Miss Cribbs that she had heard the combination of mushrooms would give the dish a nice flavour.
Nice. Do something new and special. Okay, then why were you planning? Why did you have a different coloured plate? Why did you
Mm,
buy this thing from Bunnings and then throw it away?
yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Cribbs said Erin reported that her children had eaten leftovers of the meal the following day. Erin claimed that she had scraped the mushrooms off the dish for the children, Miss Cribbs said. She also told the court that Erin's reported illness, she said that she had started to feel unwell that evening. She was experiencing loose bowel movements, Miss Cribbs said. Miss Cribbs says that Erin later took her son to the shops. She did not want to get out of the car and preferred to remain seated to prevent anything. Yeah, so for 6 hours it was nice. So what they say is, and this is something I've heard even just in my with what I've been researching about the mushrooms, is that if you eat a death cap, they're supposed to be the nicest mushroom you will ever eat. But for 6 hours after, you will not feel sick. That's why when Gail and Don and like when they got sick, it wasn't straight after the lunch. It wasn't till midnight that night. So even when she's saying later that evening that she was already starting to get the symptoms, either she would have had to eat one of the death caps like earlier than the lunch, or does that make sense? Like
Yeah, it does.
she was getting sick before the 6 hour period, and they say that you do get 6 hour honeymoon period, I suppose, before it. So Erin did not eat all of the lunch, the worker says. Miss Cribbs says Erin said that she had consented to have the meal leftovers collected from the bin. Miss Lethan asked her if Erin had said how much of the meal she had eaten. She did not eat it all, Miss Cribbs said. But didn't Don and Gail say that she did eat it all that day?
Yes, they did.
Department of Health investigation into the mushrooms. On August 2nd, Miss Cribbs says she spoke with Sally Ann Atkinson, a Department of Health official. Miss Atkinson told Miss Cribbs that she was having difficulty getting hold of Erin and needed to speak with her to locate the Asian grocer where she had said that she had brought the mushrooms. Miss Cribbs said that she was due to visit Erin's home for a prearranged visit and would ask her to return the department's call. When she visited, Erin called the department back on speakerphone and Miss Cribbs was present for the call. Miss Cribbs said that she saw Erin scrolling on her phone attempting to trace the exact Asian grocery store that she had brought the mushrooms, with Erin eventually saying that she could not find any card transaction. She then told Miss Cribbs that she would probably have paid cash for a small transaction. Because she foraged them.
Oh, yes.
Miss Cribbs tells the court that she and Erin Patterson discussed the dried bag of mushrooms she said that she had obtained from an Asian grocer. Erin told Miss Cribbs that she initially going to use the mushrooms in a carbonara around April, but when she opened them, they had a very strong smell. Miss Cribbs then says Erin explained a beef Wellington would be more suitable to use the mushrooms in. She felt they wouldn't be the primary flavour, Miss Cribbs said. She says she rehydrated them and she mixed them up with the mushrooms she got from Woolworths. Miss Cribbs then asked Erin if she had picked the mushrooms, but says Erin did not answer and was instead looking at her phone. And we take a break. The prosecutor concludes its initial questioning with child protection worker Katrina Cribbs, and Justin Beale calls for a break. Back for more from Courtroom 4 shortly.
Could you just imagine sitting there for hours upon hours listening about mushrooms? Like, not just like what if we like days upon days upon days of mushrooms. Like, I mean, at least they're getting paid for it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we're 3 weeks in, and I think the last mushroom expert was on there for nearly 2 days on the stand, and Monday we had more experts yesterday. So I haven't looked to see who's been on today because the defence, Sophie Stafford, is up next to question Katrina Cribbs. So Miss Stafford runs through a chronologically of Miss Cribbs' account of events and has her confirm several points: the child support application, the Patterson children's dislike of mushrooms, but acceptance of pastry, and the exact timing of Erin's reported diarrhea are again recapped. Because I think that's an important point, that she got the diarrhea before the 6 hours. Apparently.
Oh, I agree. Apparently.
Air quotes, apparently.
Apparently.
I'm well educated now. Yep. So Miss Cribbs tells the court that Erin first found out that Simon's parents were unwell on the Monday following the lunch. 2 conversations between Erin and Simon Patterson on the Sunday and the Monday following the lunch are raised by the defence. Miss Stanford suggests to Miss Cribbs that Simon did not tell Erin how sick his parents were and aunt and uncle were on the Sunday. You can suggest it, but I am certain that it happened, Miss Cribbs says. It's possible that I'm certain that I remembered that correctly. Miss Cribbs' earlier testimony that Erin told her that she had not eaten her entire meal is raised. Can I suggest that here and now, and you're not very clear about what Erin said, Miss Stafford said. About how much she ate. That's correct, Miss Cribbs replied. After being pressed by the defence, Miss Cribb agrees that Erin communicated she had eaten some of the lunch. Miss Stanford rereads Miss Cribb's testimony that Erin told her that each lunch guest had helped themselves to the lunch. Okay.
Okay.
The defence raises a visit with Miss Cribbs made to Erin Patterson's home. Miss Cribb confirms that Erin had became upset when discussing that she would lose her support network. She again confirms that when asked directly whether she picked the mushrooms for lunch, Erin did not answer the question. We jumped forward to the phone conversation Miss Cribbs had with Erin on August 4th. You asked Erin if she had heard any updates regarding how people were, and Erin told you that she hadn't been told anything and she was finding this try reading the words. She was finding this distressing, Miss Stanford suggests. Yes, Miss Cribbs. At this time, Miss Cribbs said she was aware that Heather Wilkinson had passed, but did not inform Erin due to welfare concerns and says it wasn't my place to. 5 months. Thank you so much. Beautiful kids, always supporting us.
Yes. Wasn't her place to.
Because you got to think too, Erin was trying every way possible to find out how everyone was. If Simon's family didn't want to let her know, do you know what I mean? She's got to take that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So.
Miss Cribbs confirms that. Do you mean I think that's why she went to the hospital? I don't think it was because they wanted her to. She was only going to fish for information on how the other 4 were, in my opinion.
In your opinion, yeah. Now that makes the most makes the most sense, in my opinion.
Miss Cribbs confirms that during the visit, Erin had mentioned that she was scared about security and privacy and was considered changing her phone number. That concludes questions from the defence. The prosecutor is back up to cross-examine the witness, then try to bring the conversation back to how Erin ate at the lunch. But there is an objection from the defence. The jury and witness are let out as they discuss it. So we break for lunch. With more discussion still to be had, Justin Beale has sent the jury out for an early lunch. We'll be back for more after. I've never even seen a courtroom have as many lunches and breaks that they do.
No, me neither.
Must be Victorian courts. We return from an early lunch break to proceedings in courtroom 4. where we left Katrina Gibbs, a child protection worker who spoke several times with Erin Patterson in the days after the deadly lunch, was giving evidence. The prosecution is back up now to complete their examination. An agreement in today's proceedings had streamed from how much beef Wellington Erin Patterson said she had eaten at the July 29th lunch. The prosecution points towards notes made by Katrina Gibbs, colleague, in hospital during the first interview with Erin Patterson. She asked Katrina Gibbs to read them to refresh her memory. She then asked how much of the beef Wellington Erin Patterson said she had eaten. Half, Miss Cribb replied. She is then dismissed after that. One word and the next witness is called.
Okay.
I wonder if she has any friends or did he give the mushrooms to? I know the only friend she's... Okay.
I was wondering who she tested the mushrooms on.
The children. It was the children. She used to... So she was talking in the Facebook group. Do you mean I don't think it was the Kelly Lane one because, as I said, they broke off like 5 or 6 people into that other one. But she was telling them how she was dehydrating the mushrooms into a powder and putting it in the muffins to see if the kids would recognize it. But remember, the kids didn't like mushrooms, so...
Yeah, that's...
And the only people that have stood up for her are her Facebook friends. We haven't seen any real life people stand up for her yet. If you call what the Facebook one said standing up. So Dementi, I'm not even going to try and say that name, but that is how you spell it, is the next witness called to testify. He's the head of the forensic science at the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine and is the state's chief toxicologist. That doctor, can't even pronounce his name, goes over his duties for the court and tells the court that he has consulted on hundreds of cases. Keyboard warriors, that would be right, most probably. Yeah. I think they're everywhere. So that doctor says that he is commonly asked to test for substances such as drugs and alcohol. However, when asked about death cap mushrooms, he says these toxins are unusual and not routinely tested for. These poisons are outside the routine investigation, he says. He listed the toxins found in death cap mushrooms known as amoxicillins. He says those toxins led to neurocrites, liver damage, and cell death. The prosecution asked the doctor how robust the toxins inside the death cap mushrooms are. They are quite stable when these compounds are frozen, but also when they are subject to heat, he says. He used an example of the toxins being heated while being prepared in a meal. Colin Mandy SC jumps in for the defence and says he has a matter to raise. The jury is then let out. I brought my grandson a car today with sirens on. I'm regretting it right now. As a sorry for yesterday, yeah, he's just out there playing it over and over again. That's all I can hear. The doctor is asked the lethal dose of toxins, which he says is 0.1 milligrams per kilogram. So for the 70-kilo adult, it's about 3 tablespoons, doctor says. He tells the court this is based off animal studies rather than humans for obvious reasons. I was just showing it. That's my arm, Kaz, just from yesterday. It's all swollen around here, but you can't see it as much on the camera. But yeah. And both my knees are still sore.
Ouch.
But there's no more TikToks coming from this house, so we're all safe. The prosecution asks about what happens when the death cap toxins are ingested, and the doctor says at the onset a poisoning victim will experience vomiting, diarrhea, and progressively get worse without treatment. He tells the court that the body is unable to process the toxin as it would a normal drug. The prosecutor asks the doctor about a term known as enterohepatic recirculation, where a toxin is continually reabsorbed in the body. The court hears that the toxins do have a long half-life and leaves the blood after a day, but the concentration in tissues and urine is higher and easier to detect. The doctor says samples taken are matches against pure samples of the toxin. Can you hear the siren, or is it just me?
Very faint.
Okay. He's in like 2 rooms away, but that's all I can hear is the siren. They must be coming to get spirit time over there.
Must be.
They're coming to take him away. The prosecution asked the doctor how difficult it is to detect the antimines, and he says it can be done reliably. It can be done. We moved on to the case at hand. The court hears doctor received several samples for death cap toxin testings. One of these samples were taken when the person was alive, while others were taken after the person had passed. The doctor says that most recently taken samples were tested immediately as they were served as the most reliable samples for the detection of the toxins. I just thought of something. Mushrooms are a fungus, so the spores would travel quickly throughout your system. They do. So they say that it attacks your body. Like you get a 6-hour period before you'll actually have any side effects, and then you get the vomiting and the diarrhea. And while it's going through it goes through your bloodstream, so it will go through and just attack all of your body, mainly being your liver. So if anyone does survive these death cap mushrooms, do you know what I mean? Most of the time they need a liver transplant after it. I know Ian did get a liver transplant after his. And then it will stop and you'll get like another honeymoon period. I don't know for how long, but I don't think it's long. And then it will start again. So it will start eating at your body again, and it will just keep going and going until, do you mean if you don't have treatment? And the treatment we do have aren't antidotes. That's what we've got to understand. They're just, do you mean they just help? And some people have come through with it, but there's no actual antidote for it.
It's more like a
It just helps to mild it, kind of thing. Like if you get bit by a snake and we go to the hospital, do you know what I mean? There's an antidote for that, and they can put it straight in. And that's the other thing too. You got to think it was 2 or 3 days before they actually worked out that it was a death cap mushroom. So they held off giving the antidote straight away that would have helped probably save all of them, because they didn't realize it was death cap. So, but I bet they're regretting that right now too.
Oh, definitely. It doesn't look too good for them, I guess.
Doctor is
That's
asked
what
about
it is.
the. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off then.
Oh, that's all right.
The doctor is asked about the test conducted on samples on Don Patterson's blood, hair, and stomach contents, liver, and eye fluid. The samples were taken both before and after his passing, and were tested for death cap toxins, an alpha amidin and the beta amidin. A table of toxicology results are then shown to the court, and the doctor runs down the different sections of the result. Under a column of alpha antimes and the beta antimes, the table shows that the toxins were found in Don Patterson's urine. It was not detected in blood samples or in any of the post-mortem samples. The doctor reinates the toxins are quickly eliminated from the blood, and if a sample is not taken within 24 to 30 hours, it is very unlikely that the toxins will be detected. However, it remains in the urine until the urine leaves the body. So there's another thing. If they didn't, do you know what I mean? A day and a half, because 24 hours is a day, so a day and a
Yeah,
half out of the system. Did she know that?
I wonder. I really wonder.
Because half a day from the lunch to midnight is half a day, and then you've only got one more day. Do you know what I mean? And then it's out of the
Yeah,
system.
yeah, I get the
And they
timing.
wouldn't have been testing for it straight away. You'd have to drink,
Nope.
wash it out of the body. You would have to drink lots of water. But they wouldn't have been drinking water either because they were vomiting and had diarrhea. And I know when I'm that way, the last thing you want to do is put any more into your body.
Water. Yeah.
I think she would have known. It's very calculated. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like how much research. If she'd known that the poison would be out within, do you know what I mean, a day and a half, that's before they could even test for it.
Oh yeah. It's like she probably accounted for all of these things, like the time, the longer they had it in the system, the more successful, I reckon she planned this out like at least a month in advance.
Hi, beautiful Earth. Welcome in, my darling. Kez is just putting mushrooms on everything now. The doctor explained the disparity in results between an ante-mortem and the post-mortem samples, meaning samples taken before Don's passing and after his passing. The post-mortem specimens were collected on the 8th of August 2023, which is almost a week after the ante-mortem samples were collected. The doctor says. He says toxins were also not detected in hair for similar reasons. Oh, someone's upset. Gail Patterson, Don's wife, has her toxicology results shown to the court. No alpha amphetamines or beta amphetamine toxins were detected in any of the bloods, the serums, or hair samples were found in any of the samples. No urine was collected from Gail. So again, that just would have been because the day and a half was already over.
Oh yeah.
Heather Wilkinson's test results are next. The urine was collected from Heather Wilkinson, unlike from Gail. No alpha amphetamines or beta amphetamine toxins were found in her samples. Now remember, Heather only had half of the meal as well.
That means I reckon there was deliberately high concentration, like
Mm.
over more than what she needed, you know?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Earth. Ian Wilkinson's toxicology report results are shown based off a range of samples taken from him during his hospital stay. The court hears that the toxin beta-alanine was found in Ian's serum. The sample of urine taken from Ian showed the presence of the alpha aminophenics. I wonder if that makes a difference. It showed up in the two males but not the females.
That's interesting. I'm not sure. It could have made a difference, but
Something to look into.
definitely.
Something about the mushrooms I don't know. The table showing results from Erin Patterson's test is then shown to the court. No death cap mushroom toxins were found in her body.
Interesting.
Erin Patterson's children also tested negative for the toxins. Samples were taken from both Erin Patterson's children. Both children tested negative for the toxins found in the death caps. See, that goes along with our theory.
It does.
That she made the clean ones for her. Okay, that's too much work. They've had another break. At the conclusion of the toxicology results, Justin Beagle signals for a break. Highlighting your way home. Welcome in, my darling. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Do the females' metabolism? Because it showed up in the two males, but not the females. But we know they all had it.
Yeah. I wonder.
Maybe because we're stronger than the males.
Yeah. Maybe.
I was waiting for spirit time to fight back then. Victorian's chief toxicologist, Dimitri, is still in the witness box providing testimony. The prosecutor shifts the topic to the leftovers from the lunch. He says he received the gravy, the fruit platter, the vegetable matter on August 29th for analyzation for toxins. The prosecutor details testimony from the mycologist Camelia Trong, who we heard from yesterday. She told the court that microscopic analyzation of the food showed no death cap mushrooms. The doctor says the only real way to identify poisons put in food is analytically through a laboratory. He tells the court that the lab works in identifying the toxins rather than the type of mushroom. The doctor that even if the mushrooms were liquefied or turned into a powder, the toxins would still be detectable. The doctor details to the court the process of testing for the toxins in the leftover food. He says a solvent such as methanol is added to the leftover food in an effort to remove any toxins present. The solvent mixture is then left for up to 3 hours. Then the liquid is concentrated and measured with a highly sensitive instrument. The court is shown pictures of the month-old food samples undertaken by the Victorian Institution of Forensic Medical Labs. The prosecutor, Sarah Lethenall, says that there will be 17 photos tendered as part of this exhibition. The first photo is of the food samples inside a blue plastic bag, which are each said to contain 2 times pastry parcels. The second photo is of the samples themselves. They show crusted pastry and some brown filling. The third photo shows a small sample of containers with small pieces of pastry and chopped mushroom inside. Here comes a siren. He's getting closer. It's getting louder. The doctor says that in one sample of the mushroom paste, death cap toxin beta amalgam was detected. The beta amalgam was also detected in one sample of the meat. A jug with brown liquid prepared, appearing to be the gravy, tested negative for the toxins. Can't hear me? Or
Oh, sure.
is it because of the siren?
Are you sure, Kaz? I mean, I can hear you.
I know, but that. Who can't you hear, Kaz? Me or Mac J? You can hear us now? I don't know if it's a siren. My grandson's coming forward and back, so I don't know if that's what's. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you can't hear the siren. Okay. I thought you were saying you couldn't hear me. I was
Okay.
checking everything. It's all on. I can just hear him coming closer, so that's okay if you can't hear it. The doctor says that in one sample of the mushroom paste, the death cap toxin beta-alanine was detected. The beta-alanine was in the meat. I just read that one.
Okay.
Hi, Kaz. Welcome in. The court adjourned. The prosecutor finishes his questioning, and the defense says there is not enough time left in the day for it to make a start. So Justin Beagle adjourns the court for the day, and we'll hear more from the doctor tomorrow. So what we learnt today, we heard from two witnesses in the Erin Patterson trial. One witness was Katrina Kibbs, who spoke with Erin Patterson in the days following the lunch, travelling to her Leongatha home where the deadly lunch was served. The other was the doctor who was responsible for testing both the lunch guests and the food they ate for traces of the deadly death cap toxins. Here's what we learned. Katrina Kibbs told the court that Erin Patterson reportedly eating half of her serving of the beef Wellington lunch in the days afterwards. Erin told Miss Kibbs that she feared for her privacy after the lunch and was considering changing her number. The only thing I'm going to say in her defense to that was I do remember when it happened, and I remember there was reporters, because you got to realize we don't have a lot of our stories go worldwide, where this one did. And there was reporters everywhere. Like, she couldn't even walk from her car to her house with, do you know what I mean? So that's probably where the privacy thing is coming. I'll
Yeah, I
see
agree.
if I can find some of the reports where it actually shows how many people were in her yard. So people's what we learn from this, don't trust your family. Not after a separation.
No.
And don't trust mushrooms.
No, never again.
I don't think I'll ever eat another mushroom after this case. But I'm safe on that
Me
spirit.
neither.
So we're Miss Cribbs also told the court that Erin said the recipe of the beef Wellington came from a Recipe 10 Eats cookbook. Donald Patterson and Ian Wilkinson tested positive for death cap toxins with the alpha and the beta enemy found in her urine samples. In their urine samples, sorry. Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson tested negative for the death cap toxins. Erin Patterson and her 2 children also tested negative for the death cap toxins, and both leftover residues from Erin Patterson's dehydrator and the mushroom paste leftovers from the lunch tested positive for the death cap.
Wow.
So this was the fun bit on Thursday afternoon. I know I have mentioned this to Mac J, but we lost a juror Thursday. He was it might have been Friday morning. So the juror had been discharged from the Erin Patterson trial after reports emerged that he had been discussing the case with family and friends. The male juror was formally released from the panel of 15 jurors on Thursday morning. So yeah, we lost him Thursday morning. By Justin Christopher Beale. The ABC can only report the information now after an interim suspension order restricting media coverage was lifted on Thursday afternoon. So Justin Beale said there was a reasonable possibility that information about the jurors discussing the case with outsiders was credible. The judge said no findings had been reached as to the man's possible misconduct.
Interesting.
While informing the remaining jurors that the man had been removed from the case, Justin Beale said confident juror discussions were vital to the administration of justice. I want to remind you of my directions. You should only discuss the case with your fellow jurors in the privacy of the jury room, he said. 14 jurors remain on the case, but still has several weeks left to run. We got 3 weeks. Don't get scared. It's just another thing. We say several, we just mean many. We have 3 weeks.
It's 3 weeks.
Yeah. When all the evidence is complete, 2 other jurors will be balloted off to leave a final 2 to make the call on whether Erin Patterson is guilty or acquitted of the murder or attempted murder charges. So we had 15. We've lost 1. We're back down to 14. But we only need 12 to sit, so we're still okay. And don't eat things growing in poop. Exactly.
Exactly.
And this was a really big deal on Thursday when we lost him as well. So, but that's another thing that I've noticed is different. So when we've watched the American cases or cases over there, we've noticed that they're not allowed to talk about the case at all, even in the jury room. You are not allowed to talk to anyone. But in Australia, the jury is allowed to talk to each other in the jury room, but no one else. So it's just something interesting to see that point out, I think.
I agree. Very interesting.
So Erin Patterson's trial now down 1 juror. While 1 juror was told to collect his things and leave the courtroom this morning, the trial will continue. In Victoria, a court is allowed to impanel an additional 3 jurors in a criminal trial. Criminal trials come with significant costs, but financially and personally for everyone involved, from the jury to the accused to the victims and dozens of witnesses. The additional jurors means the trial can continue in the event of an incident like today, or if a juror feels sick or seriously ill. I think they should be able to talk amongst themselves. Yeah. But I know if you watch some of the big cases overseas, they're not allowed to talk at all. I mean, it's even in the jury rooms. Hi, beautiful Melly Jo. How are you, my darling? Welcome in.
Like that big bust over the Dateline episode.
Oh, yeah, they're still trying to find that one out. But another sample is the Laurie Vallow one, the last one, where she was going for Chads, and one of the jury people, so he'd actually waited till the end of it.
Yeah.
Before he left like after it was all finished, they left the jury room and was going out, and he then Googled the case of Laurie Vello. And when he
Oh my
went out,
God.
he mentioned something about her other charges, and people started asking questions. How did you know that? And yeah, if
So
spirit
he's
time is
pissed off.
here, where are the grandchildren? One is 2 rooms away playing sirens with his mum, and the other one is at school today. So you'll hear the siren. It's all right. And Spirit Time's only just got home. He's been at work all day since 2 o'clock this morning. He goes at lovely hours.
Oh yeah. I bet you want to take the batteries out of that car now. The
I know it doesn't
siren.
even turn off.
Oh my goodness.
How long left on this case? I'm heading down to lock in 4 weeks. We have about 3 weeks left. So the start of this week was the start of our 4th week, and they said it was going to be 6 weeks. So we've got about 3 weeks left. That's if it goes that long. But it could, because we've not heard from any of the police yet. Yeah. If they keep taking breaks like this, it could go longer.
Oh yeah.
And Mondays off and half day Fridays, like, at least us Aussies know how to do it.
Oh yeah.
So the court update for Friday, the 16th of May. Erin Patterson is in the dock wearing a dark-coloured blouse and a brown cardigan. I'm just hoping once it's over we actually get all the exhibits.
Oh, that would be so good.
Because it's going like worldwide, there's a lot more coverage on this one. So the forensic expert continues giving evidence. The jury is continuing to hear testimony from the doctor, who is adjacent associate professional of the Monash University Department of Forensic Medicine. Imagine trying to say that job every day.
Oh.
Defence lawyer Colin Mandy SC is asking the doctor about the testing of 2 bags which contained leftovers from the lunch at Erin Patterson's house. Mr. Mandy puts it for the forensic expert that the items were found from 2 places at Erin Patterson's home, but were put in 1 bag, to which he agrees and says it was not an ideal way to receive samples. The doctor also confirms a piece of foil was also included in the contents sent for testing. Mr. Mandy says that the process for testing, and the doctor says small parts of the large samples are tested. It's not possible to test the whole sample. Yeah, so 3 weeks. That's what I think. But as I said, I don't know if it's going to go that long. Because you got to remember, we're not arguing that the death caps were in there. What they're trying to work out is whether she intended to do it. That's what the whole case is about. We know the death caps. She's even admitted that they were there. It's just whether she intended for it. That's what our guilty or not guilty is coming down to. And I know they did a big thing at the start about it, and I'm sure they'll do it at the end again. Did I read this one? So the doctor is being shown photographs of the samples that were sent for testing, which have been divided into separate vials. There is an exclamation for the doctor of the testing process for the testing of the contents of the vials, of which there were 9. The process is really about concentrating these samples, the doctor explains, which he says is a standard procedure. He explains the methanol is added to the vials to extract compounds of interest from the contents of the vial. So they sent 9 vials away.
Wow.
Mr. Mandy is now shown images of the toxicology results from the testing of the samples. Each sample is labeled, such as beef or pastry, but the doctor agrees that there could be elements of other items in the contents. For example, the beef sample may contain small amounts of the pastry. There is also discussion of a confidence threshold for each sample. Mr. Mandy says whether that means there could be smaller amounts of that substance which does not reach the threshold. The doctor says there may be and explains that food analyzation can be challenging. And you've got to remember, these samples came out of a bin days after this happened. So we could only imagine the bacteria that has gone on the food while it was in the bin before the police collected it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the samples weren't straight away because they got them when she went to hospital. So, yeah. So questions raised about Don and Gail Patterson. So Mr. Mandy is now asking about results from samples taken from Don Patterson, which were taken about 32 hours after the meal. So remember what we were just saying, it was only the 24 to 30. Oh my God, my daughter's singing. Doctor explains the sooner a sample is taken, the better the chance of extracting evidence of a toxin. The exchange is paused after the judge calls for a short break. The trial has resumed after the short break. Mr. Mandy continues with questions about the test results of the lunch, the guests' notes, and times of which blood and other samples were taken from the guests. The guests were all tested between 25 to 32 hours after the lunch. Mr. Mandy says that only 2 samples were taken from Erin Patterson, which were taken 51 hours after the lunch and did not detect the death cap mushrooms. The doctor agrees. So 51 hours after the lunch is when she went to the hospital. So you got to think these food contents that they're getting the samples from would have been in the bin that long before the police, because they went out to the house while she was in the hospital and took the sample from the bin. So questions are now turned to the amount of toxin that contains a potentially lethal dose. There are lots of variations that need to be considered for that lethal dose, the doctor says, including the age and health of the subject, and he confirms that is based on animal studies, not human studies. The doctor agrees that most of the studies on death cap mushrooms comes from Europe because that is where most poisonings occur. Mr. Mandy is discussing a study which showed some people had consumed death cap mushrooms, reacted with different levels of severity, which is categorized in 4 grades. He mentions the first grade in which a person does not develop liver or kidney issues, even though they ate the same meal as people who have reacted more severely. The doctor says it is asked about whether, depending on an individual person's tolerance, the person's response may be different to that of other people who've eaten the same meal. And he agrees. He also agrees that the factors such as age, health, weight might also influence their response. And you got to remember they were all old.
Yep.
Not that I'm saying that is a bad thing, but do you know what I mean? They wouldn't have been as healthy as a 20-year-old.
A 20-year-old. Yeah.
The court takes a short break. The prosecutor asks for a short break and the judge agrees. The testimony of the doctor will resume after the break. So the prosecutor, lawyer Sarah Lethan, has resumed questioning of the doctor, but there is now a delay after the defence objects to a question put forward by the prosecution. And we don't know what that question was. Plus, their metabolism would be slower as they're older. Yeah, that's what I mean. Thanks, Spirit Time, putting those words there for me. A late change to the witness stand. The questioning of the doctor has been postponed and will resume on Monday. A new witness is now being called whose testimony is expected to be completed during today's session.
Sounds like they're shuffling people around depending on different schedules.
I think because it is so far out, it would. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to get all the people out there because a lot of these people work in Melbourne. Like the Monash is in Melbourne, the Gardens are in Melbourne. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so they're all coming from like
Melbourne
the
out there.
capitals and yeah.
Dr. David Lovelock has now taken the witness stand to be questioned by Lynette Rogers, SC. He's the manager of the diagnostic at Planet Health Victoria. He says his work involves determining what plants or fungus might be affecting the crops of farmers. He was asked to conduct an analysation linked to this case. He says he was contacted by the Department of Health on August 2nd, 2023, and asked to identify whether there were mushrooms in the samples provided. Dr. Lovelock says he received 2 samples of beef Wellington in a Ziploc bag from the Monash Health and for analysation. One thing I do got to say is I'm not too happy how they're transporting it. Like, there's no. I mean, we've heard of it being in 4 different bags, and I can't hear because the cleaner has. Oh. I would speak louder, but I'm speaking as loud as I can, guess. Yeah, they're broken.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got a spare set. Do you have an iPhone, Kez? Let me know. I might have a spare set of AirPods I could send you. I think I've got some old ones. A series of photos are flashed up on the court scene showing more beef Wellington leftovers. The first image shows 2 Ziploc bags, and the second and third are the contents of those bags, pieces of pastry and the brown paste. Can hear now. Okay. She's finished vacuuming. So there is a discussion of the samples which were contained in the Ziploc bags and the labelling of the contents. These are confirmed as mushroom remnants from the beef Wellington. The questions are now turned to the samples of the gravy and the fruit that Dr. Lovelock received on August 8th, 2023. There were also samples from the dehydrator, which are contained in tubes. Dr. Lovelock says he was advised to look for death cap mushrooms in the sample of the Ziploc bags. He says the fruit was visibly intact but not tested. The gravy was tested. Dr. Lovelock says the DNA was extracted and examined for fungal pathogens. He says quality controls were used to ensure the correct outcome of testing. He says DNA was extracted from the button mushrooms, and the death cap mushrooms and 2 other deadly mushrooms to be used as control substances. I think my mind just sees words and I just read completely different to what I'm seeing sometimes. So Dr. Lovelock says that there are tests they conduct to ensure they are extracted good quality samples. He says the only mushroom DNA found in the Ziploc bags was from button mushrooms. He says the testing detected the amidopolyphenes in 2 of the 7 samples in the test tubes, which contained substances from the dehydrator Dr. Lovelace says there was no contaminating of the samples as confirmed by the control testing. He says the positive results from the test tubes had 99% similarity to death cap mushrooms. So we got to remember she used the dehydrated for the death caps. So that's, yeah. The prosecution finishes its questioning of Dr. Lovelock, so it's over to the defence. Defence lawyer Colin Mandy is now asking about the protocols to stop cross-contaminating of the samples. Dr. Lovelock says he doesn't know what the material of the Ziploc bag looked like before the samples were reached him, but he confirms the samples were distorted.
Distorted?
Yeah, that's it. Distorted or mishappened, probably due to the cooking. Mr. Mandy says asked Dr. Lovelock about an interim report that suggests a second mushroom species other than the button mushrooms was in the sample. Dr. Mandy raises an email from Victorian Police that suggests to Dr. Lovelock not to worry about death cap mushroom testing for those samples. There are no further questions for the doctor and he is excused.
Wow.
The prosecution asks a single question of forensic expert Dimity, we're back to that doctor, whose testimony was briefly postponed. He is asked if two people with no previous health issues consumed the death cap mushrooms and one of them passed and one survived, would he expect there to be some adverse health effects on the person who survived? The doctor replies that there was likely to be some adhesive reactions to the person who survived. He concludes there have been cases where two people ate the same meal, contaminated with death cap mushrooms, and one passed and the other survived. He is then discharged. And that's it for the trial for the week. So that was the end of Friday because we only have half a day. The judge calls a halt to the proceedings for the week. The trial will resume Monday. So what the jury heard and what we learnt on Friday was today's evidence devolved heavily into science, focusing on testing of medical samples, the beef Wellington leftovers, the samples taken from the food dehydrator, including the genomic sequencing of mushrooms. Victoria's chief toxicology doctor was on the stand for the second day, and a plant health expert took the jury through how he tests his samples and what he found. Here's what we learned. The court heard all the guests were tested between 25 and 32 hours after the lunch. Erin Patterson's samples were taken 51 hours after the lunch and did not detect death cap mushrooms. The doctor explained that sooner a sample is taken, the better the chance of extracting evidence of a toxin. The defense put it to the doctor that the beef Wellington leftovers were taken from two places at Erin Patterson's home, but were put into one bag. The doctor agreed that it was not ideal way to receive samples. Defense Barrister, see it? I don't know what my head's reading. Defense Barrister Colin Mandy SC then began questioning the doctor about what amount of toxins contribute a potential lethal dose, referencing 4 levels of grades of severity. Dr. Mandy mentioned the first grade in which a person does not develop liver or kidney issues. The doctor also agreed the factors such as age, health, and weight might also influence their response. The doctor agreed there had been cases where two people had eaten the same meal contaminated with death cap mushrooms and one pass and the other survive. The Dr. Lovelet said the only mushroom DNA found in the beef Wellington leftovers was from button mushrooms, and he said samples from the food dehydrator had 99% similarity to death cap mushroom DNA. And I think that was it. So I put this one in. It's just a couple of pictures before we like to end it off. And this was Erin, obviously. All her lovely pictures I have of her.
Such
Up
fake, such a fake crying expression there, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. And all of them are the same. Like, and of course,
so fake.
Our 4 victims up the back.
Yes.
But even Erin wouldn't say that are her victims, but they are. She'll tell you she is.
No, of course she would. Bloody typical.
So that
criminal.
one was for her.
Oh, wait, she's technically innocent until proven. Yeah, okay.
Till the verdict comes down. But yeah, so that was it for Friday. Tomorrow night I want to do one on William because we haven't been doing them, and I know everything's been up in the air. Would nighttime or daytime be better for you, Mac J? Tomorrow for Williams.
Tomorrow nighttime would be better because I'm out all day tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll set it up for tomorrow night because we have had some movement in the case. Not a lot, not fireworks, but something's happening, and I want to talk about it. In both cases, actually, we've also had some in Amy's. I've seen some things put out in Amy's as well.
Interesting.
So I think even though we're doing the mushrooms and we've been concentrating, I think we've got to do one studio at Williams, but one day on Amy as well, because I want to bring out some of the new things happening there as well. So I'll set one up.
I'm pretty sure we're getting sick of saying death cap mushroom.
Yeah, I need a break. So I'll put one up tomorrow night for William. I am working on the case for this week. As soon as we get an answer on when this case is drawing to a close, I will also put it up on my community post so you will know as well. But yeah, I'm working on this week's one for the weekend. Is it this weekend we go to our thing?
No, 30th.
Okay, next weekend we go. So yeah, so this weekend will be the mushroom ones, but we'll do tomorrow night because I do want to do these, explain like the updates with William.
Okay, no worries.
But other than that, thank you so much everyone for coming and supporting us and everything. And we'll see you all tomorrow night.
We'll see you then, guys.
Thanks everyone.
Every true crime on the rise. Investigate the scene, uncover the lies. From Melbourne to Sydney, all the way to Perth. No case too tough, we'll dig into the dirt. We'll crack the code, find the truth, bring justice to the table. No excuse, Australian legends in the game, bringing light to darkness, no shame. Just got a super chat, let's celebrate. Raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. From cold cases to missing persons, we'll leave no stone unturned. Every virgin detectives in our hearts will never give up. But justice and truth will always hear us. Ooh, thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much.